Questions and comments? The Honourable Member for Nepean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member mentioned that your riding is the most beautiful riding in Canada, but I have to take exception. Mine is the best riding in Canada. It represents true Canada. You know, it's a suburban riding. We have got 2 rivers. We have got agricultural land. We have got high-tech in emerging technologies. We have got 120 languages, 50% Christian, 30% no religion, 20% balanced faith. And we have got lots of children. We have got a lot of new schools. So the best riding that represents Canada of today and tomorrow. Now, I have got a question for the Honourable Member. He talked about the pandemic management. I'm very proud the way that our government managed the pandemic successfully. Under every metric, we did better than any other G7 country in managing the pandemic. Can the member tell us, compared to any other G7 countries, is there any other country other than Canada which has done better in any metrics in managing the pandemic?
Member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston.
Do civil liberties count as a metric? Does freedom count as a metric? Does the ability to be with your loved ones when they are dying count as a metric? If they do, then we were terrible. And not all of that was the fault of the federal government. That was the fault of the honourable member from Winnipeg Centre is, of course, interrupting as he always does. I don't know if a speech ever gets made in this House that does not involve an interruption from the honourable from Winnipeg Centre, whose word count is already far greater than the rest of us, and who really ought to wait his turn. Let's see if he can do that for the rest of this day as a special test. It's a Christmas gift to all of us. It would be so awesome. Do you know, Mr. Speaker, I have to go when I'm working here, Mr. Speaker. I'm trying to get work done. I listen to music on my iPhone, and I put in earbuds to drown out the endless drone from that member, because makes it so he's like a black hole for ideas. Any useful thoughts come out of everybody's brain and just vanish into this behind the event horizon, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Surrey Newton.
I rise today to address the Sikh genocide. There have been consultation among the parties, and I believe you will find unanimous consent for the following motion: that the House acknowledge and recognize that the crimes committed against Sikhs within India in and following 1984 constitute a genocide.
I'm already hearing a number of no's. Points of order, I guess, that are going on. The Honourable Member for Nepean.
Mr. Speaker, a few minutes back, member from Surrey Newton introduced a motion seeking unanimous consent, and I said no. I believe on the way out of this chamber, the member threatened that I will be yeffed up. So another member also aggressively accosted me in the lobby. I feel that as a member of Parliament, I should be able to express my opinion, my views freely in the House, and I should not be felt threatened by any words or actions of my fellow members.
Thank the Honourable Member for bringing that forward. I guess we'll talk to the Honourable Member about the proper way to look into that particular issue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today is the International Day for Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Like the member, I too agree that we need all the hostages released. And all the remains of the hostages problem should be cleared. Along with several Jewish Canadians, there are many Palestinian Canadians here who have lost their families amongst the 43,000 people killed in Gaza. Vast majority of whom are women and children. I would like to ask that member whether she has got any tears or any consolation for the Canadians who have lost their family in the Gaza.
Member for Kildone and St. Paul.
Yes, I do, Madam Speaker. The last 13 months have been horrific in the Middle East, what we've seen. We support Israel's right to defend itself, and we hold Hamas responsible for all of this destruction, for the terrorist attacks of October 7th. This is on them. What we're not hearing is a clear denunciation of that from the Liberal government. And we feel that when Hamas is happy, a terrorist organization is happy with the position of the Liberal government, there are serious, serious problems there, Madam Speaker. And what impact does that have to motivate the most vile elements in Canada to hurt Jewish Canadians here? I think it certainly has an impact.
Resuming debate. For Nepean.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the honourable member quoted quite a bit from the preamble of Constitution and other laws. he had a lot of authorities quoting on the subject he was speaking. I do agree with him that the House of Commons has got the power to legislate, deliberate, and hold the government to account, which we do. In one of the things authorities he mentioned, quote, on the surface it appears to be without restriction. I think this was in reference to the power to summon documents, ask for documents. Again, I said, quote, on the surface it appears to be without restriction. The key word in that phrase is the word appears. It is not absolute. That's number one. Number two, I think he also mentioned the parliamentarian or the minister in the UK Parliament sent to prison. I don't think it was for his refusal to produce the documents. I think it may be for his refusal to appear before the committee. Maybe the member can clarify.
Honourable Member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Well, thank the honourable member for the question. In answer to the first question, the word appears is used because the only restrictions on Parliament's absolute right to order the production of documents is that those documents be present in Canada and not extraterritorially, and that they exist. And that is why they use the word appears in the previous sentence. With respect to the question about the UK case, it was a legal opinion issued by Attorney General Geoffrey Cox to the government, the cabinet of then Prime Minister Theresa May. This was a solicitor-client privilege document. The document was released in full, unredacted, publicly to the House of Commons after the Prime Minister was held in contempt and ordered to hand over the document.
The Honourable Member for Nepean.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I listened to Honourable Member's speech. She did mention about the economic policies, so I have a question. The economy, Canadian economy is improving. The inflation has come down to 2%. Interest rates have been cut 4 or 5 times. With the changing, though the economy is changing for good, the lingering effects of high inflation and high interest rates are still affecting Canadians, and the government is taking steps to help those Canadians in need. I would like to ask two things. Why did she vote against the government's measures cutting down the sales tax so that it can help Canadians? That's number one. Second, I would like to ask her, from her proposal, why is she not telling Canadians that they are not going to receive the Canada carbon rebate that they are getting now if her proposals get approved?
The Honourable Member for King Vaughan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm a little concerned about those questions because let's look at the facts. The facts are they're bribing us with our own money, number one. Number two, if they feel that they have done such a great job for Canadians, can they explain to Canadians watching today why over 2 million Canadians have to use the food banks? My grandfather came here in 1950 and food banks weren't even in existence. And you know why? Because people could work and pay for their own groceries without having to depend on food banks. We need to take this country back, and the only way we're going to do it is with the common sense leader of the common sense of the common people for the Canadian people.
And the honourable member for Nepean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the honourable member mentioned about the need to reduce the tax and also about the investment. Due to the actions of the government, the inflation now has come down to 2%. Bank of Canada has reduced the interest rate for the 5th time to 3.25%. But there's still some pain amongst the Canadians with the cost of living, and hence the government has taken measures. I have actually two questions for that member. When he talks the need to reduce the taxes, why is he not supporting the government measure to eliminate GST on certain items for the next 2 months? That's number one. Number two, he talked on the investments. Why doesn't he recognize that Canada attracted the best foreign direct investment per capita amongst all the OECD countries? Does it not show the confidence that the international corporate world has got in Canada?
The honourable member for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I know the member opposite fairly well, and I know he's a very smart individual. I remind him that the inflation that has taken hold in Canada is baked into the prices we are seeing now. So it's not as if prices are actually going down. The price of groceries are still absolutely insane, and we see that at the food bank in record numbers. And I don't think that's a measure of success that the government really has thought through, because when you're pushing people with food bank, that's not actually a good thing. In terms of the interest rate cut, I don't think that's the flex that the government thinks it is. I think there is deep concerns about the economy, and I outlined that earlier in my speech.
First, the honourable member for Nepean.
Mr. Speaker, on November 13th, Somaliland held its presidential elections. I extend my congratulations to President-elect Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullahi Irio for his landslide victory. It is a testament to the trust and confidence the people of Somaliland have placed in his leadership. I want to recognize and thank the services of the outgoing President Muse Bihi Abdi. I also congratulate Kaha Party on winning to become one of the 3 officially recognized political parties. We are in a world where elections are often disputed, as recently witnessed in a couple of countries in Europe. The use of biometric voter identification and the peaceful transfer of power is not just a triumph for Somaliland, but a powerful inspiration to Africa and democratic countries around the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Nepean.
Madam Speaker, for over 150 years, Chinese Canadians have made remarkable contributions to building Canada. From working in mines and railways in the past to driving Canada's leadership in the knowledge-based economy and advanced technologies, Chinese Canadians have been and continue to be a vital force in Canada's socio-economic development. With a rich cultural heritage spanning thousands of years, the Chinese people have profoundly contributed to humanity through advancements in science, medicine, and countless other fields essential to human progress. It is our collective responsibility to preserve and promote this invaluable culture and heritage, ensuring that all Canadians, today and in the future, can learn from and celebrate its significance. I call on Canada to designate February each year as National Chinese Heritage Month. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Nepean.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the member referred to broader economic and social changes. He also referenced to the rents. I would like to ask him, with the inflation falling to 2%, with the interest rates getting cut 4 times, the rents in places like Toronto and Vancouver falling by over 9% year over year, and the member also talked about affordable housing. I also want to get his comments on the Housing Accelerator Fund, whether he is in support of it even now.
You should have stayed. The honourable member for Kootenay, Columbia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the member for the question. I can say that when I go back to Kootenay, Columbia, when I talk to the people of Kootenay, Columbia, they cannot afford to buy groceries. So I'm not too sure where that member is shopping or where they're getting their prices, but prices have gone up so much they cannot afford to buy everything they need. And we actually need to start to do something about that. And right now we're not doing anything other than spending money that we don't have.
The Deputy, the honourable member for Nepean.
On behalf of Shia Muslims across Canada, I condemn the recent deadly attack in Pakistan. On November 21st, gunmen ambushed convoys of Shia Muslims in Kurram district, killing at least 38 individuals, including women and children. Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims generally coexist peacefully in Pakistan. However, militant groups like Deobandi militant groups, Salafi extremist groups affiliated to Islamic State, Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, Barelvi group Tehreek-e-Labaik Pakistan indulge in the killings of Shia Muslims in Pakistan. Motivated by sectarian ideologies, these groups are responsible for numerous brutal incidents in recent years. They operate almost freely due to the absence of political will to prosecute them. I call on Canada to condemn the killings and convey to Pakistan the deep concerns of Shia Muslims across Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Nepean.
Madam Speaker, I stand today to advocate for fairness, unity, and recognition. Christianity, embraced by millions of Canadians, has shaped the moral and cultural fabric of our great nation. Many of Canada's foundational values, institutions, and traditions reflect Christian principles. We have months dedicated to Sikh, Islamic, Jewish, and Hindu heritages, but there is no such recognition for the Christian faith. December, a month already steeped in Christian traditions of hope and giving, is the perfect time to honor this legacy. Let us celebrate the values, contribution, and diversity Christianity has brought to Canada and to the mankind. I urge the government to designate December as Christian Heritage Month. I wish everyone Merry Christmas and a very happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.